So we are really fortunate, sir. We are humbly. It's a real pleasure for all of us that you are here to impart your various expertise in the field of gas turbines and compressors. So as I apprised Mr. Srivastava sir that the students know somehow about the compressor in third semester, goes beyond to and slowly they are catching up with gas turbines as they have visited. They have their internship in GAIL India Limited. So sir has a wide experience of 38 years in ONGC. It's one of the prime public sector, you can say one of the most important oil sector in the field of exploration and excavation in Government of India. So sir, I humbly request Srivastava sir to kindly come forward and deliver his expertise, this technical knowledge to all of you. Thank you, sir.
Placed in any company, maybe power generation company or any oil industry, you will be having some background of practical aspects of gas turbines, because we have learned a lot in theory that how a turbine works and what are the processes, what are the cycles, like Otto cycle, diesel cycle is there. Similarly for turbines it is dual Brayton cycle, gas turbines. So theory, I think our esteemed professors, they know much more than what we know. But I will just share a few different types of turbines and their applications. Okay. So this is the introduction of gas turbine. Gas turbine is a machine delivering mechanical power or thrust. It does this during a gaseous working fluid. The mechanical power generated can be used, for example, in industrial device. The outgoing gaseous fluid can be used to generate thrust. In the gas turbine, there is a continuous flow of fluid. Unlike our reciprocating engines, where we have it intermittently. Gas turbine. I will come in the subsequent slides where we will be having pictures of turbines and different components. History of gas turbines. We can distinguish two important types of gas turbines. There are industrial turbines and there are jet engines. The aeroplanes and other jet engines, they also have these turbines. They run on liquid fuel, whereas we have worked mostly on gas turbines, but we were also having dual fuel turbines which can run either on gas or on diesel or on both. So jet engines, they use ATF. We have a power turbine and entire thrust is used to propel the aircraft ahead. That I will come in subsequent slides and I will show you other things also. The first gas turbine for power generation became operational in 1939 in Switzerland. It was developed by company Braun-Breville. Braun-Breville is a manufacturer of gas turbines. It is a well-known company and their turbines are used all over the world. Gas turbines had a rather low thermal efficiency because thermal efficiency of gas turbines, if we are not using the exhaust gases for generating steam or a combined cycle power plant, the efficiency of gas turbines remains low, around 35% to 40% maximum. But if we use it as a combined cycle gas turbine, then efficiency may go as high as 80% also. So gas turbine has a low thermal efficiency. This was because they could start up rather quickly. They were therefore used to provide power at peak loads in electricity network. In 1980s, natural gas made its breakthrough as fuel. Since then, gas turbines have increased in popularity. After World War II, gas turbines developed rapidly. So in our offshore, when Mumbai High was developed, it was 1974 when we first struck the oil in Mumbai offshore. And then we had a massive production from Bombay offshore. Even today, 70% of ONGC's production comes from Mumbai offshore. Although the field is 50 years old now, but it is still producing. The main thing in turbines is the construction of material, because it is subjected to high temperatures, very high temperatures, after combustion. So we need to have a good metallurgy of turbine blades who can sustain these high temperatures and do not give way. So there are many developments in metallurgy of gas turbine blades, and now we are able to generate more power from these turbines. So currently there are several companies producing gas turbines. The biggest producer of both industrial and gas turbine, industrial turbines and Pratt and Whitney. So out of this, Rolls-Royce and GE, we have a fleet of around 33 Rolls-Royce turbines and 5 this GE gas turbines. This GE LM2500 gas turbine which we were having, which I have worked on, it is the same engine which is used in our aeroplanes of Boeing 737, 747. They all use this turbine, and they have around at that time when we joined in 83-84, they were having for every 5 GE LM2500 turbine being used in Boeing, they were having one foreign expert to deal with the problems of the gas turbines. So Air India is having a lot of these turbines, but they are all aeroderivatives. I will come to these slides. What is aeroderivative turbine and what is industrial turbine? So this is the ideal gas turbine cycle, two isentropic compression and expansion, and heat addition and heat rejection at constant pressure. I will come to Brayton cycle ahead after a few slides. This is the Otto cycle and this is diesel cycle, which you are aware of. So how it differs from Otto cycle and diesel cycle, that is given in this Joule-Brayton cycle, wherein we have got a compressor initially which compresses it isentropically, and then in combustor fuel is added at constant pressure, and then expansion takes place in power turbine, gas turbine, and then heat rejection at constant pressure. So this is the standard Joule-Brayton cycle which is used for our gas turbines. This is turbine schematic. We have a starter motor here which initially starts it. Then we have got air compressor which compresses the air required to generate the gases. And then we add fuel in the combustion chamber. This is called combustion chamber. And then we have got high pressure turbine. High pressure turbine is called high pressure because it generates gases for power turbine. And this is the air compressor. And then we have a transition duct, and then a low pressure turbine, or we call it a power turbine, which ultimately drives the load. Load may be a compressor, or it may be a generator, or it may be a pump also. So this is very important. Up to this part we call it gas generator because it generates gas for the for driving the load. That is also called load turbine, low pressure turbine, because fuel gas, when it is added in the air and it goes through high pressure turbine, so pressure at this point is more, so it is called high pressure turbine, and there is no mechanical coupling between gas generator and power turbine. We call it aerodynamic coupling. Only gases pass through transition duct, and requirement of this is gas generator drives the air compressor and power turbine drives the load, and they run at different RPMs also, because requirement of a turbine of same capacity that weighs around 12 to 15 tons. So that is the difference. Aeroderivative turbines are very lightweight. Their blades are also designed in such a manner that their weight is reduced to minimum, because in aeroplane it is not possible to carry this much amount of weight. So they want to minimize it. So they always use aeroderivative turbine in aeroplanes and jet engines. All are aeroderivative. And industrial turbines are very rugged turbines. So there are very distinct features of an aeroderivative turbine and an industrial turbine. Bearings are also different. We use general bearings in industrial turbines, and we use anti-friction bearing in aeroderivative turbine. Aeroderivative gas turbines. Aeroderivatives are also used in electrical power generation due to their ability to shut down and handle load changes more quickly than industrial machines. They are also used in marine industry to reduce weight. As I told you, marine industry as well as in aeroplanes, weight reduction is the main criteria, because more weight an aeroplane carries, more fuel will be required, and it will be very difficult to keep it stable at high altitudes. So all aeroplanes are using aeroderivative turbines only. The General Electric LM2500. LM2500 is the engine which is being used in lower weight. But later on we came to know that jacket and topside facilities are having more than 3000 ton weight. उसमें यदि 2-4 टन इधर उधर हो भी जाता है, 10 टन इधर उधर हो भी जाता है, तो कुछ फर्क नहीं पड़ेगा. Then we started using industrial turbines. But we have a good fleet of RB211 and Rolls-Royce A1 engines. We have 26 A1 engines and 7 RB211 engines, for both for our compressors as well as for our power generation. Industrial gas turbines differ from aeronautical design in the frames, bearings and blading. They are of heavier construction. The blades are also heavy, and since we have to start a turbine of heavy rotor, say one rotor itself is 3 to 4 tons. So these industrial turbines, they are very rugged turbines, and they are heavier in construction because because you have to rotate this mass, heavy mass, at very high RPM. So for that we use general bearings. That is why we use general bearings in this and anti-friction bearings in aeroderivative turbines. So they are mostly integrated with the devices, the power, electric generator or compressor, the secondary energy equipment that is used to recover residual energy. They range in size from man-portable mobile plants to enormous complex size. We have turbines and compressors which are of this room size. From here to here it will be turbine enclosure, and after that multi-stage centrifugal compressor. The centrifugal compressors we are using in offshore, they run at 13,000, 14,000 RPM, and the turbine speed of gas generator that varies from 7,000 to 9,000 RPM depending on the load of the turbine. Then there is another classification of gas turbine, that is open cycle gas turbine and closed cycle gas turbine. Open cycle gas turbine is simple. Air comes in, gets compressed in air compressor, we add fuel, then it expands in the turbine, and the finally turbine exhaust is sent in atmosphere. So that is turbines of 15 megawatt, we are using only a 30 kilowatt motor. That is the difference between a single shaft turbine starter motor and a twin shaft turbine starter motor. And then 3 shaft turbine, you must have seen in RB211, that engine is a 3 shaft turbine. It has got 3 stage turbine, high pressure turbine. So part of turbine that drives initial compressor. So this is a 3 shaft turbine. RB211 is a 3 shaft turbine which you have seen in this thing, Gale. This is a split shaft, as I told you that there are 2 shafts. One is driving the compressor of the turbine, and the other is power turbine which is driving the load. This is dual shaft split shaft. The gas generator itself is having 2 shafts. One is driving LP compressor, other is driving HP compressor, and then it is going to the power turbine. So there are 2 shafts in the gas generator, and third shaft is power turbine which is ultimately driving the load. Then another classification is single fuel turbine and dual fuel turbine. As I told you that the turbines which are being used for power generation in our company, that requires a blackout start also. When it is totally blackout, suppose our power generator trips and there is a blackout situation, so we have to start up the turbine. So for that there is no gas at that time because all the wells are closed. When there is a power shutdown, the intake of gas is not there. So at that time we have to start it on diesel. We start it on diesel, use this diesel as the fuel, and then we switch over to gas. So they are dual fuel turbines. They can run on gas also, they can run on diesel also, and then for transition we use both for some time to change over from diesel to gas. But later on, since there was abundance of gas in offshore and there were many process platforms, so interconnection of the subsea pipeline was there, so we started using single fuel turbine for power generation also. Otherwise all power generation turbines were having dual fuel burners and they were dual fuel turbines. Then there is another classification which you must have learned about impulse turbine and power, reaction turbine. So all these turbines, which gas turbines, are all reaction turbine. Because impulse turbine you must have learned in hydraulics also, that Kepler turbine and Pelton turbine. Pelton is an impulse turbine, if I am not wrong, because it's 42 years since I passed out. I may have lost my memory also. So these are the basic components as I told you. This is the Rolls-Royce gas generator. So this part is the compressor part. So this part is having 17 stage. 17 stage means there is one rotor and one stator. Then again one rotor and then stator blade. So one rotor and one stator, they constitute one stage. So there is a 17 stage turbine, 17 stage compressor which generates high pressure air for combustion chamber. Because as you know, even in our reciprocating engines also we need to compress the air and then we inject the fuel and then igniter is there, so spark plug is there. So in this we compress the air to the pressure of 10 kg, 12 kg, 15 kg as the requirement is, and then it goes to combustion chamber where we add fuel in the combustion chamber. This portion is combustion chamber, and then it is a 3-stage turbine. In Rolls-Royce it is a 3-stage turbine. So this turbine does nothing but drive the compressor, and the exhaust gases of this turbine, they go to power turbine which rotates at a different RPM. If it is an alternator, it will run at 1500 RPM or 3000 RPM, whatever it is, depending on the number of poles of the alternator. Or a compressor, if compressor is there, and as per their design, if compressor is running at 13,000 RPM through a gearbox, so the power turbine will run at 6,000 RPM, 6,500 RPM, like that. So this is the schematic of this, and then there is a starter motor. I told you, like in our car engine also, we have to start the engine with a battery starter, and then once we achieve the ignition and speed catches up, we disengage it. So our starter motor does the same thing. It starts the gas generator. When it comes to self-sustaining speed, then starter gets stopped down. This is the compression of the air compressor. The air is coming from inlet, air filters. From air filters it is coming here, and then this is the rotor, and then this is the stator. So in rotor we have increase in pressure, increase in velocity, and then we have a stator where we have got a different nozzles. So in that nozzle, velocity gets converted into the kinetic energy gets converted into pressure energy. So in stator we also have an increase in pressure. Similarly, next stage where it goes to the rotor, it imparts kinetic energy to this blade, and similarly there is a slight rise in the pressure. Then again it goes to stator where kinetic energy is converted into pressure energy. Like that all stages are there and gradually increase the pressure of the compressor. Combustion of the fuel. Whereas all other 65% of the air is going to cool the turbine components. Maybe it is nozzles, maybe it is rotor. Both are cooled by air only. And that air itself is at very high temperature. And then we cool it and then again it goes to turbine section for cooling. So that same compressor air is used for cooling the turbine blades also. This is the design of a rotor blades. So there are holes through which air passes and then it goes out and mixes with the exhaust gases. And then fuel cooling is also there, where intermittent ignition is there. Spark plugs always give it a spark in every cycle. Then there are different types of combustor. One is can type, other is annular type. The LM2500 engine that I told you, it is having annular type and then can annular. That is a combination of can. Whereas Rolls-Royce engine is having a can type combustor. This LM2500 is having annular combustor. And turbine consists of one or more stages designed to develop rotational energy. Uses set of nozzles and blades. As I told you, there is one stator and one rotor that makes one stage. So there are 3-stage turbine, there are 2-stage turbine, or there are even more 5 or 6-stage turbines also. In single shaft power coupling is on the same shaft as I had already told you. That single shaft is having one shaft only right from air compressor to the load. Gas turbine versus steam turbine. For the same HP, weight reduction of 70% is gained in gas turbine. They are simpler, less maintenance, fewer components, reduced manning, automated control, quicker response time and modular replacement. We can have modular replacement means we can remove the turbine section and overhaul it and put it back. We can have combustors, we can remove the combustor and put another combustor. So that capacity right from 30 kilowatt for a twin shaft turbine to 1100 kilowatt or more for single shaft turbine. Then starting system, we start the motor that runs at around 1000 rpm depending upon the number of poles of the motor, and then there is a low speed starter. We are having when we are having electric motors, we are having pole changing motors. When we start the starter motor, it runs at a low RPM, and then after purging the air, whatever is the residual gas in this, after purging, it goes to high speed, and then at high speed fuel is injected in the combustion chamber, igniters are put on, and then when it reaches its self-sustaining speed, then starter motor drops out. Then we have a oil system, then ventilation system. Since the turbine is very hot as compared to reciprocating engine, so we have a ventilation system. This turbine, they are all put in an enclosure, and that enclosure is sealed from everywhere, so that noise reduction is there, because there is a lot of noise if we don't have enclosure. And then we have a ventilation system. Air fan blowers are there which cools the turbine components externally. Air is used for cooling the internal components of the turbine, whereas these blowers, they used to cool the entire enclosure and the external of the turbine. Then there is air intake system. We have got air filters which filters the air so that it doesn't dust and salt of the atmosphere that doesn't go to the turbine. And then safety systems, alarms and trips. This is very important because if there is any abnormality in the turbine, it should instantaneously trip so that there is no damage to the turbine or to the load, which is compressor or alternator. So there are many alarms and trips. If low oil pressure goes down, say it should be at 1.5 kg pressure, if it goes to 1.3 kg, there will be an alarm that the low oil pressure is low. And if it goes below 1 kg, it will trip. The turbine will be shut off. Immediately fuel will be cut off and turbine will shut down. So, and then fire and gas system. If there is a fire in the enclosure, then we have got UV detectors which detects that there is a flame in the enclosure. It will immediately trip the turbine, and there is a fire suppression system which is generally used is halon. That all the dampers of the blowers they are closed and the enclosure is quenched with halon gas so that whatever fire is there, it will quench. So that is fire and gas detection system. So there is one fire detection system and then हो जाएगा इस तरह से उसमें भी safety systems हैं. Then open cycle gas turbine plant and closed cycle I have already explained it to you, so it is not required. These are jet engine turbines, so I will not go much into these details because unless you go to ISRO or this thing HAL, you will not come across these jet engines or Air India. This is a diagram of jet engine. We have a compressor and a so this is the jet engine turbine. This is again a jet engine. We have a part of the turbine. Overhauling of gas turbine. Since our blades are highly subjected to continuous exposure to 700-800 degrees centigrade temperature, so these turbines are meant for only 25 to 30,000 hours of continuous running. After that, we will have to remove this, send it to OEM's manufacturer or overhauling center of the turbine, and there they will completely open the turbine, see what are the components are to be replaced. They will replace it and send it back to our place where we can replace it. So for that we have so many float turbines. Float turbines are overhaul turbines which are kept at that place. If any engine fails or it achieves the overhauling hour, it is removed from the berth and another turbine is placed on the berth. So for that we have a few float engines also. We have around 100 turbines in our offshore, gas turbines in our offshore. Half of them are for producing power and remaining are for compressors. Mainly hot section component need to be checked and replaced for smooth running of the turbine for next specified hour. We call it a 0 hour overhaul. After 30,000 hours, we remove the turbine, send it to overhauling center. They overhaul the turbine, change whatever are the blades and other things which need to be changed, then send it back to us as 0 hour. Now we can start the clock from 0 again. So that is called 0 hour overhaul. This is a solar turbine. This is an industrial turbine which is having a weight of around 15 tons. And it has drained the water into the sea and then pump the oil and compress the gas to send it to Mumbai. So we have got a 200 kilometer subsea pipeline from offshore to Mumbai, through which there are two lines, one is oil line, other is gas line. So in oil line we pump oil and in gas line we compress the gas and send it to Mumbai. So this is the platform where we work. We work for almost 12 years. I work on these platforms. So there are many platforms, they are bridge connected and there are many folds coming from different platforms. We call it Ballard platform or unmanned platform. That platform is simply that platform, nobody lives on that platform. There are 4 wells or 6 wells or 8 wells depending upon the potential of that field. and that oil and gas comes to this place. And we visit well platforms only when there is some problem with the well. So we have choppers available in our offshore. They do their, they fly throughout the day from one platform to other platform. We have around 200 well platforms in Mumbai offshore, more than 200 well platforms, and we have around 12 to 12 process platforms where we process the oil and gas and then send it to Mumbai. So these are all manned platforms, and from here only we manage all the well platforms. Different teams are there, they go to well platforms, they check the well, and then all the facilities are there. This is an independent, this is like a city, and our power generation, which I am telling, is 15 megawatt, 3 turbines, so total power generation capacity is 45 megawatt, which is more than a power requirement of a city like Ujjain. So such huge power generation is there, and all these turbines of different capacities, they are used for it. Thank you. Skid, where we preheat the fuel, then reduce the pressure, all the liquid form is drained, then again we superheat it and then take it to fuel gas. But then even after that, a lot of condensation takes place in the pipeline. Those pipelines are also insulated so that there is no temperature effect to the pipe fuel gas. But still we face this problem of liquid in fuel. So liquid in fuel not only chokes the burners but also have an adverse effect on turbine blades and nozzles. So we have seen many failures of hot section because of improper fuel. Because fuel is carrying liquid which are high calorific value. So these fuels are designed, these burners are designed, we are given a list of this thing, the fuel gas should contain not more than this much percentage of this fraction, more than, mostly 80% of that is methane gas only. So that is natural gas. And whereas after coming to Mumbai, we oil and gas is collected in our Uran plant in Mumbai, and then again there is a stabilization unit for crude, and then we give the crude to refineries. And for gas, whatever gas we receive in Uran plant, we process it, extract LPG from it, and extract C2C3. C2C3 is ethane propane. So we extract C2C3 and LPG from it, and the lean gas is then given to GAIL, which is then being used as a CNG for our cars and this thing, Mahanagar gas pipeline for our home, this thing. So that all is being done by GAIL. But the source is, supply is from our side. We only give the gas to GAIL for further supply. So that is all about our infrastructure in Mumbai and how we use these pumps. The pumps are in offshore which pump the crude oil to shore. They are of 2.75 megawatt, 3 megawatt, and the alternators we are having, they are generating from 10 megawatt to 15 megawatt power. We generate it at 11 kV also, we generate it at 6.6 kV also, and somewhere we are generating even at 3.3 kV, depending on the size of the platform and requirements of the power of that platform. Similarly, since these oil and gas, they are finite in nature, so after the well pressure goes down, so we have many secondary and tertiary methods of recovery. That reservoir is depleting fast, so we inject water in the periphery so that the reservoir is kept pressurized. So we do water injection. For that also we are having very high capacity pumps, 2 megawatt, 4 megawatt pumps, motor driven pumps. So for that our power requirement goes very high. If we are having 4 water injection pumps, 2 oil pumps, so that itself will be more than 20 megawatts. So for that, and then we have got secondary and tertiary methods of recovery of oil and gas. So we inject gas in the well so that oil comes out with pressure. So that also is being done. So there is a massive network of subsea pipeline we are having in offshore. So that is all about our this thing, why we are using such high capacity gas turbines in our offshore. And also in Uran we are also having 3 turbines of 20 megawatt each. So whatever our requirement of the plant is around 30 megawatt or so, so we give the remaining power to the grid. Maharashtra Electricity Board, we are giving power to Maharashtra Electricity Board also. So any questions you can ask.
अभी मैंने recently I completed from NTPC thermal power plant internship. तो ओवरऑल में वहाँ पर 45 डेज का जो पीरियड रहता है, जैसे वहाँ पर 2 यूनिट थी, तो जब अभी सेकंड यूनिट का ओवरऑलिंग चल रहा था वहाँ पर, तो 45 डेज का, तो जैसे हर एक साल में अल्टरनेटिव वो यूनिट का करते हैं और 1.5 साल में टरबाइन का करते थे। सर टरबाइन वहाँ पर गैस टरबाइन में और स्टीम टरबाइन में दोनों में सर ये डिफरेंस मैंने देखा अभी कि सर जब स्टीम जाती है एचपी टरबाइन में, एचपी से फिर रीहीट होके इंटरमीडिएट टरबाइन पे देन एलपी1 एंड एलपी2 में। तो सर यहाँ पर तो अलग ही मतलब गैस कॉन्सेप्ट गैस टरबाइन में सर वो
कंसेप्ट नहीं है यहाँ पे। वहाँ पे इसलिए करना पड़ता है उनको, आई टेल यू, स्टीम टरबाइन में आफ्टर फर्स्ट स्टेज ऑफ हाई प्रेशर टरबाइन देयर इज अ लॉट ऑफ कंडेंसेशन of steam. So for that they need to reheat and then it goes to the next stage. Whereas in gas turbine, this thing is not there. The gas is directly going from first stage of the turbine to second stage of the turbine, third stage of the turbine, and then it is going directly to the power turbine.
यहाँ पर पावर जनरेशन भी सर कम है ना मेगावाट का?
कहाँ पे? हाँ यहाँ तक तो कम है। गैस टर्बाइन हमारे इतने उसके हैं. But the one which we are having in Tripura is very high power. That is the power plant actually. They are using it only for our usage in offshore because we don't have subsea cables to supply it to grid. But we are using only, we are having turbines of 15 megawatts or 10 megawatts depending upon our power requirements. Because our power requirements, we cannot supply it to the grid because we have to lay cable right from our platform to Mumbai, and so we can't do that. So and weight consideration also there. Our jacket weight has to sustain this topside weight. The construction of our platforms is, we have a jacket, maybe 6 lakhs, 4 lakhs jacket. We do it in yard. We fabricate it in yard and take it to offshore by ship, and then we lift it, place it on that exact place, then hammer it so that it goes down below the seabed, and once it reaches to the required depth, then we bring these topsides facilities, and then we put it on that, weld it. That is how a platform is.
ONGC है और सर
Oil India Limited.
ऑयल इंडिया लिमिटेड और सर गैस वेल्स अलग से भी होते हैं ग्राउंड से या फिर रॉक से?
नहीं, normally Mumbai offshore we are drilling wells up to in the range of 2000 to 2500 meters. Whereas in on wells are varying in depth. They are ranging from as low as 1200 to 1500 meters and right up to 6000 meters we have drilled. So there are different capacity of rigs which drill different depths of well. 750 rig BHEL की आपको पता होगा, BHEL की जितनी भी rigs हैं हमारे, most of the rigs are BHEL rigs. So there are 4 models of BHEL rigs. They are all electrical rigs. Earlier we used to have mechanical rigs where we used to drill the well with the help of engines. But nowadays electrical rigs are there, so motors are drilling the wells. So there is E760 rig, E1400 rigs, E2000 rigs and E3000 rigs. So an E750 rig will drill wells up to 1500 meters. Then 1400 rig will drill wells up to 2500 meters. Then 2000 rig will drill wells up to 3000 meters. And if it is more than that, we have E3000 rigs. So there are different models of rigs which drill the wells. It will depend at which place in the reservoir we have to extract oil. There we are having oil and gas. So we do it. We have got different sections. That is, one is exploration group. They do all the exploration activities where the well is to be drilled, at what depth oil and gas reservoir is there. Then we choose the type of rig which will go there and drill the well. And then when it is established commercially that yes, we can get profit from this area, then we drill number of wells in that region. So in one region, if the gas pockets and oil pockets, they are at 3000 meter depth, we will drill wells of 3000 meters. And we will select our rig accordingly. If the depth is more, we will have a different rig for drilling that well. So that depends on the depth of the reservoir we are. Thank you very much. Thank you very much, sir. For giving me so patiently. Thank you very much.
So कितने लोग जाना चाहते हैं ONGC में? उसके लिए सर का ईमेल एड्रेस मेरे पास है। आप मेरे से ले सकते हैं और सर से कांटेक्ट कर सकते हैं।
आपको गेट देना पड़ेगा, गेट में स्कोर करके रखिए और उसका हमें डायरेक्ट इंटरव्यू है।
तो गेट देने के लिए भी तैयार हो जाए। जो थर्ड सेमेस्टर में स्टूडेंट यहाँ बैठे हैं उनके लिए अभी 2 साल और बचे। फाइनल ईयर वाले तो ऑलमोस्ट अपनी तैयारी कर रहे हैं।
अभी तो प्लेसमेंट भी हो रहे होंगे।
प्लेसमेंट चल रहे हैं सर। 1-2 हमारे स्टूडेंट हो भी गए इस सेशन में।
वेरी गुड सर।
So again sir, thank you very much for being here.
आजकल कैंपस प्लेसमेंट सारे IT सेक्टर्स में ज़्यादा हो जाते हैं।
नहीं, पर इस बार सर वी आर फॉर्चुनेट कि लास्ट 2 ईयर से मैकेनिकल IT सेक्टर को पछाड़ते हुए
अच्छा
आगे आ गया है। हमारा उससे कोई कंपटीशन नहीं है। हमने कंप्यूटर के सब्जेक्ट्स भी अपने इसमें कैरिकुलम में डाले हुए हैं। पर वो चांस की बात है सर, IT सेक्टर थोड़ा सा इस बार डाउन हुआ तो हार्डकोर इंडस्ट्रीज हमारे यहाँ आई और हमारे स्टूडेंट काफ़ी अच्छा प्लेसमेंट कर रहे हैं।
कौन कौन सी इंडस्ट्री है
सर? स्टूडेंट बताएंगे सर। डेंसो है और ऑटोमोबाइल में डेंसो, अभी हमारे यहाँ उषा, आयशर, वॉल्वो है, शक्ति पंप अभी हमारे पास आई थी। और सर ट्रेनिंग प्लेसमेंट शुक्ला जी हैं तो उनके काम, और स्टूडेंट को ज़्यादा पता होगा आदित्य बिरला का सीमेंट, जेके सीमेंट या
तो बहुत नेटवर्क है पाइपलाइन का। ऑनशोर में भी है, ऑफशोर में भी पाइपलाइन नेटवर्क बहुत है और हमारे पाइपलाइन डिवीजन ही बिल्कुल अलग है। तो सब जगहों पे जो वो रिक्रूट करते हैं जिस वक्त, तो हमारे मैकेनिकल के लोगों को वो उन दिनों केमिकल की उतनी ब्रांच नहीं होती थी, तो वो प्रोडक्शन में भी लेते थे मैकेनिकल के स्टूडेंट्स को, मैकेनिकल वालों को ड्रिलिंग में भी लेते थे, मैकेनिकल वालों को हम लोग जैसे मेंटेनेंस में आए तो इंजीनियरिंग में भी लेते थे। तो सब में लेते थे मैकेनिकल वालों को। अभी तो केमिकल ब्रांच भी आ गई तो अभी प्रोडक्शन में अधिकतर केमिकल वाले ही जाते हैं। बट मैकेनिकल के लोगों के लिए बहुत स्कोप है, वो किसी भी उसमें जा सकते हैं। तो उसमें भी हमसे पाइपलाइन लॉसेस का पूछा था कि कितने पाइपलाइन लॉसेस होते हैं, व्हाट इज़ द फॉर्मूला और ये वो। तो हम तो उसमें जस्ट पास करके गए थे तो याद था तो बता दिया था सर, लेकिन